Mednick here. We are doing a late night here at the hangar. We've got a test flight in the morning, and I noticed that I wanted to change out the shims in my leading edge on this brand new Revolt. So tip shims on a Northwing, Evolution, and many other brands will use an actual shim in the wingtip. Now I want to show you where that shim is. Come on this way. We go over to our wingtip. And if you get in there and take a look, show the camera. And so this one right now, you can see this little line here. This is the shim here. And I also want to point out that the angle of this yellow strap is your tip cap angle. And that is a very critical adjustment. So a lot of people twist these, and a little bit of twist is okay. But a lot of times we'll see people twist them 20, 30, 40 degrees to try to take a turnout. That is not a good idea. Generally speaking, and all wing designs are different, but I'll speak for our Evolution design wings, we want these tips twisted up. So the moment you're twisting a tip down or even neutral is a bad thing. Typically, sometimes people use unequal size shims. We're going to use the same size shims on both sides. I don't believe in adjusting the wing leading edge tension asymmetrically. We use electric roll trim for things like that. You can see here on this Revo, we have it on the Revolt that we're working on as well. But anyway, what I'm controlling is sail tension. And a couple different ways you can tell if your sail tension is too tight or too loose, and every wing is its own animal. If this sail was cut in a very, very high humidity, it's going to be a different size than the one that was cut the day before. It was very cold and dry that day. And so you put it onto a standard frame, you're going to get different tensions. And the thing you have to remember about tension is it doesn't take very much distance to create a lot of tension. So people always want to know, how long to make their battens or how to do the string, but it really comes down to tension on the sail. And so I first noticed that this sail had a problem when I put it together because I could barely pull the hull back. And on this particular wing, every wing is different, but I know the tension on this wing. I had so much trouble getting the hull back, but I continued to assemble it just to make sure we had all the parts. And this thing is just drum tight. So we want to actually decrease tension. A lot of times we have customers that need to increase tension, especially as the sail stretches out and we need to tighten up the sail a little bit. A loose sail, you can lose performance, takeoff distance, all kinds of negatives if the sail is too loose. And there's also negatives if the sail is too tight. So tension is the word. So if we're going to go ahead and change these shims out, I'm going to show you how to do it right now. The first thing that we need to do is we need to get at our nose, and we're going to bring the control bar back because I need to remove the nose screws. And again, this may be different on different model wings. In our particular case, and what I'm doing, by the way, see how the bar wants to come forward? Little trick. Just go ahead and pull that forward. Now it stays down, makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to grab a, I think it's a number 3 Phillips, and we're going to remove the nose cone, and then we're going to remove these nose screws. Now these nose screws, their primary function is to hold the sail on the frame when you fold it. If you fold this wing with these screws out, the sail will literally fall off the frame. And then if you build the wing again, that yellow strap, which is very, very tight on the tip cap, may fall off. It may not even be on there. So we're going to go ahead and take this out. By the way, these screws only go in and out when the wing is fully assembled. So very, very easy to take that screw in and out because everything lines up. But once we detension the wing and we fold the wing back, you're never getting this screw back in. And so that's the whole point, is it holds an incredible amount of tension on the sail so you can fold the wing, everything stay put, and you can open the wing back up and everything's good to go. So I'm going to take this out on both sides. I am also, while I'm up here, and this is kind of optional, I'm going to go ahead and unperch these 2 nose ribs, which are probably very, very tight because this whole sail is so tight, just to give me a little bit more room. Take this off completely. I can just let it hang, pull this up and off. And that is Another reason I know that this sail is, it's just so tight. So this one was definitely needing to be loosened up. Now there's a couple different ways you can loosen up a sail. You can also loosen up the haul back as well, and you're going to get different effects. But and again, it's sometimes trial and error. I feel that this wing just needs smaller shims, and a lot of wings we go the other way. Usually we're adding bigger shims to the wings, so today we're going to smaller shims. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to need to detension the wing. And actually, before I go ahead and detension the wing, we're going to pull out our tip batten. We got a double tip batten on the Rival X that we're working on here. I'm going to go ahead and pull out a few more of these guys here. Let's go ahead and tuck these sprogs in as well. We definitely need the sprogs pulled in. And I'm going to remove a few more of these battens. Just like that. Pull these guys out. And we'll do one more. Now you don't want to go in too much further than, what is that, the third one in, with it hauled back. And I do want to get up here and bring this in. You don't want to do the haul back with the sprog out. So believe it or not, just bringing those sprogs in brings the sail down, which takes tension off of the haul back. So now we're going to do the same thing on this side.
You can really still see the twist right here.
Yep. And you definitely want to pull your tip battens out with the sprogs up. That'll make them as easy and loose to come out of the wing sail as possible. So on the Rival X, we fold the sprogs towards each other. Some wings, the sprogs will go towards the outside. Just really depends on the wing. In this case, there's a hook on the leading edge, and we don't want the sprog to scratch against the metal hook there, so we go towards the center is all. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull out the third batten, and then we'll just go ahead and do the inboard sprog, and that should be good enough. Okay. So now, because the wing is nose up, the wing is going to try to collapse on itself once I take the haul back. If the wing was level, it would stay open when I release the haul back, but gravity is going to try to pull this wing together. I get this nice porcupine of a propeller right here. We do not want the wing to fold down onto this propeller. So it may help if the parking brake is on to do the haul back. I'm going to turn the propeller a little bit so I can get in here. Got a nice bar on the revolt, but I'm going to need some leverage, I'll bet you, because this is really heavy. So I got it. And now I'm going to go ahead, and I might be able to just use the handle. I brought this just in case. I want to see if I can get enough, and honestly, I think I need a little bit more folded. If it's not folded enough, what's going to happen is I'm not going to loosen up the sail enough, and I won't be able to get the shim out. So I'm going to use this bungee cord. That looks a lot better. So this is okay. Still got all the battens in. But now, you take the screwdriver and the shim. First thing you do has nothing to do with the screws or anything like that. But one thing I do want to note is the rotation of this tip cap. So we have several, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 3 3/4 up. So I want to take note of that angle and put it back, because we'll be able to put that tip cap back in any direction. So I'm going to unvelcro this little white strap. I'm going to use this hand to grab the back side of the leading edge. I'm going to use these two fingers, and this is going to be pretty difficult. And it is not coming. So what does that mean? That means the wing needs to be folded back a little bit further. And with that said, I probably need to pull back a couple more battens. So this is something that happens a lot of times, is you just can't get the shims out or the strap off the tip cap. And that just has to do with how far out the wing is open. Now, if this was a loose wing and we had really small shims and we needed to shim it more, I probably would have been able to get that strap off of the tip there. But because the wing is extra tight, that's part of the reason I couldn't get it off just now, and I'm gonna make another adjustment up top. So very careful not to let this thing go flying because we don't want the wingtips coming back. I'm gonna maybe go to here. Okay, so no real science here. I'm just trying to find something to hold the wing open, and now we're gonna see if that made a difference. Maybe now I can get to it. Now, depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed or used to doing it, I'm just used to doing this side. I'll always do this side first because once I do this side, the other side is going to be nothing. There's no tension. But right now we've got tension because each side is tensioning the other. So I'll only need to pull one side on. The other side's going to be super easy. So this is probably going to still be difficult. Here we go. It's coming. It's coming. Wow, that is really tight. It's halfway off. I'm going to fold it in just a hair more, and I got it. So here it is. You can get a good look at that. And I'm not kidding. That was one tight wing. I would have never had that much trouble.
And show the yellow strap.
And here's our yellow strap right here.
So use the black strap to pull on to get the yellow strap off.
That's correct. And you see this angle, it's almost on about a 40-degree angle. Now, how do we get this off so we can get our tip cap off? Well, we're going to unscrew the first screw, and what you're going to notice is that the screw is actually coming out of the plastic. I'm going to do the same to this side, and you're going to see it does the exact same thing. This thing is still as tight as it ever was. I can go to either screw now. It helps if you put your hand like this so you're not hitting the screwdriver because that hurts. And I'm going to give it a good, and you're going to watch and listen to it pop. Here it goes. There it is. And with that, look at that. So you have a fitting that expands this, and now I can slide this shim, which is way too big for this particular wing. And we're gonna grab our little shim, and I'll go ahead and put this on, but we're not gonna put that strap back on, or I'm gonna struggle with the other side just as bad as I did with this one. Well, I shouldn't say that, because now I have much less leading edge tension than I did before, because we just removed a bunch of leading edge length. And again, it may not seem like a lot of length, but it doesn't take a lot of length for you to get a lot of tension. Once you start to get tight, and you had, I mean, a 64th of an inch, you get hundreds and hundreds of pounds of extra tension. So now check this out. We're gonna go to the other side, and this should be quite effortless. And take off my Velcro. I'm gonna grab here, and just that easy. So big difference. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the tip cap, again noting the rotation of it because we're gonna want to put this back. And there it is. And now we'll go ahead and get to my other shim. So we slide our shim over. Now you can actually put this in without any shims at all. Whether it's right or wrong for the wing, all has to do with sail tension. And when your wing is too soft, you gotta be very careful. It may fly really great in turbulence, but you may not be able to round out and flare. You might hit the ground very easily because it can't create G-force. So there's trade-offs, but finding that special tuning where you get the wing just right, it's very, very important, and this is a big key here. All right, so we put it in just like the other side. Getting that rotation correct. And we'll talk about the rotation, maybe another wing tuning tip video, but just get this on here. And now again, this side's gonna go on fairly effortlessly. And get the white straps around it, and I'm gonna pull it over, and it goes right on. I can affix the white straps like that. I'm seated here. And now, this side should be actually more difficult to put on than it was to take off, but we've pulled out those large shims, put in the smaller shims, so I think I'm gonna have a little easier time of it, so we'll see. There we go, and right on. And so that's kind of what I was expecting to feel when I took it off, if the wing was tensioned normally. If I wanted to just take off normal shims, it would have been that easy. So here it is on, and I can take it off that easy without getting crazy. And now I feel like the wing is tensioned much more appropriately. You want to make sure that the yellow is seated. Get your white strap all the way around it. And with that said, I can start putting the battens back into the wing. And I'll go ahead and I will put my battens back in, and I'll even tension the strings before I haul it back. Now on the Rival X, we're going to keep the bungees undone, because after I do the haul back, I'm going to want to put my sprogs up. So I'm not putting all of them in. I can put in the last 3 is no problem. But as you get into these larger battens, you definitely want to pull these in and out with the wings detensioned. And the advantage to putting the string on and tensioning the batten before you haul it back is the batten will actually seat a lot nicer than sometimes if you have the wing tight. And so what'll happen is the pocket will crush down, and then you're trying to tighten the batten and it doesn't seat all the way, and you get a false tension on the string, and then you fly it a little bit and your string's all loose and you wonder why. Well, that's what happened. So coming back up. Now, I don't know if you could tell how much I strained getting the haul back off, but again, usually getting your haul back on is harder than getting it off. Well, here we go. This will be the test, and I'm going to tell you right now, oh yeah, that feels good. Look at that. That's what I want it to feel like. That spring, and I could put a scale on there and let you know what it is. I would say this is, it's really hard to say without a scale, but I know it by feel. That's what I'm looking for. When I hauled this wing back, I knew it was just way too drum tight, and every step of the way I could tell, wow, this wing is like way too tight. So with that said, we can go ahead and bring our sprogs back out. Go ahead and put these last battens in. Now something interesting is going to happen when we get to our tip batten, and that is that it will need to be adjusted. So if you think about it, the sail is now closer to the tip batten hook that's on the back side of the leading edge. It being closer means that that tip batten is going to be tighter if I just try to jam the tip batten back inside.
And the sprog.
I'm going to bring the sprog out, and even putting the sprog into position feels right again. Now we've got some adjustment left here, which is great because I'm going to need it. And when you put these tip battens in, you want them to just get tight, and they should really click into place. So you can, I'm going to put this in, and I hope that it's going to show that it doesn't really click into place. I don't know how well this will translate into a video, but when I tighten this up, yeah, it felt like it is so tight right now. Come up here. Let me just, we do not want this drum tight. That's just going to lock up the handling, and the tension does need to be the same from right to left. So almost what I took out, and don't put your fingers in there, almost what I took out in shims, I'm going to want to adjust in to get my tip batten tension correct. So if you're going to bigger shims, you need to bring the tip batten out to get proper tension. And whether it's the battens, the haul back, the leading edge tension, it's all about tension. And oh, that felt great. And now take a look here. I'm not quite so drum tight. There's just a little bit of flex there. It's snug. It's not super loose, but it's not super tight. And again, some wings need to be super tight. The Rival X, everything should be just kind of snug. Now this is a bungee cord here, so it's pretty much not going to be so critical. And then we can start putting back our battens and our bungees. And the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to put our nose screws back in. And the thing you got to realize is, depending on how much of a shim change that you made, the nose screws, believe it or not, may not line up anymore. So if you have an older wing, you may have to drill a 5/32 inch hole into the leading edge. If you have a newer wing, it has self-tapping screws, but you may need to move those screw holes. But what you do want to do, if you do have to move the screw hole, is you want to make sure that the nose battens are unperched when you line up the holes. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep tension when you put the nose battens in again. It's going to keep tension, sail tension, to keep those nose battens perched. If you fly with the nose screws out in flight, it could be possible, depending on how loose your sail is, for the nose battens to come off in flight. And so those nose screws double as a sail tensioner to keep the nose battens from coming off their perch. So basically, we got one more batten on this side, and now you are looking at, I got a few more here. You're looking at a finished right side of the wing. I'll go ahead and finish up the left side and finish up the nose, but that's all there is to it to change out the shims, and that is one of several tuning points on our wings. So more next time. Thanks.